Alright, so I just wanted to do a small overview of what I'm building so far in Scrimba. So let me pull it up right here from my second monitor. So we're building a Tenzies game, and I kind of just wanted to explain what I was doing just for myself so that if I forget, I can come back and watch this. So basically, the way we started this app was, well, the way I started it was breaking this app into three different components. So we have our main, which is rendering up our app. And this is the code here that's making sure that my app is into the center of the screen. So if I take this off, my app will no longer be in the center. And then this app right here is rendering three different components. It's rendering a header content, which just has my H1 in my paragraph. It's rendering my die, which is these dice right here. So in my die.jsx, they all have their own styling, or they all have the same styling with the text. And then I made sure to make it mobile responsive, so it works on mobile. And then I also have my roll BTN, and my roll BTN is just this button down here that when you click, it will reload our dice. So how is this app working? Well, first what we did was we went ahead and we rendered the dice 10 times, and then we passed them each their own value. But now what we're doing is that we're creating a function called all new dice. And this is going to create an array called roll dice, which is an empty array. And then we're going to do a C style for loop. And what we're basically going to do is we are going to push into roll dice math.celly, which is almost like math.floor. But basically all this is doing is generating 10 random numbers. And the reason why we're generating 10 random numbers is because we're saying the count is less than 10. So the count can never be 11. So when we console.log, let's say all new dice, what we're getting is an array of 10 random numbers, and that's what this function right here is doing. So what we did next was we went ahead and saved this into state. So we're creating state called dice, and we're going to set our dice as well. And our react.uState is going to be this all new dice. So it's going to be this array of random numbers that we're seeing here. And basically what we're doing now is we're going to say, hey, we're going to create these dice elements and we're going to map over this array of 10 random numbers. Remember, dice is just 10 random numbers. So we're going to map over this array and we're going to take each die, which is singular, and then we're also going to take the index of where that item is located. So 5 is index of 0. 3 is index of 1, 2 is index of 2, etc., etc. And we're doing that for our key prop because our key needs to be unique, and that's the only way we can make it unique right now. But our value is going to be of die. So what this basically means is that every time we iterate over a number, each one of these numbers, we're going to create this component and we're going to give it a value of die and a key of index. And the value of die is just these numbers that are here because that's the only thing inside of our array. And then we're going to go ahead and render that onto the screen. And basically I have some code here called dice container, and this is just some CSS. This is just making this grid layout right here. And then on small devices, I wanted the gap to be a little bit bigger. So by default, it's pretty close. I wanted it to be more stretched out. And basically, we are just rendering all of these dice elements that we just iterated over. So when we iterate over all 10 of these dice, what we're basically doing is creating a new die component. And then now what we can do is go into dice. And remember this prop of value that we passed through here? Well, we can now reference that value right here. So every die that we create has the background color. It has all of the styling here and then the cursor pointer. So that's how I know these are all of my separate dies that we'll have to click. And we're passing in props.value. So the reason why we're passing in props.value is because we're passing it right here. So the value is going to be the die. So to reference it in our die, we have to say props.value. And then now that's how we reference all of our numbers. Finally, we have the roll BTN. And the roll BTN is this button right here. And what I wanted it to do is that when we click it, we basically want to set our dice to all new dice. So we're basically saying set our dice. We don't need the previous state at all. Later on, we will need the previous state because once we match these three numbers and we refresh, we don't want them to go away. We want them to stay. But for right now, we're just going to set our dice. And then our dice isn't going to take the previous state. Instead, it's just going to take all new dice. So we're just going to return a new array of 10 items. And basically, since this is a component, I pass it as a prop to my roll button. And then now I can use props and then props.roll new dice. This is the name of the function right here, meaning when we click it, we get new dice. So I just wanted to give a base level explanation of what's happening in my app. And I'll probably continue to update like this just so that I don't get lost.